How's it going, everyone? It's Alex with AC Flips. I'm a full-time six-figure Amazon seller. In today's video, I'm giving the people what they want. I did a poll on my Instagram asking what content you guys want to see next, and the overwhelming answer was a sourcing video. So I did some live sourcing for you today, looking for back-to-school items because I think the back-to-school season is not over yet. There's still a ton of products out there that you guys can find to flip and merchant fulfill really well still. There's a ton of time to do that, so don't give up on that kind of stuff yet, but let's jump into the sourcing video. All right, so we have some live sourcing here. What we're gonna do is look at some back to school items and potentially some fall items that are starting to come, back to a higher velocity. We have, sweatpants is really gonna start increasing in velocity. A lot of the sweatpants are a super good rank, most of fall and winter. And then once summer hits, it goes way up. We can have pants that are sitting at 20K rank for most of winter and fall. And then as soon as like April, May, June hit, that rank shoots all the way up to like over 100K. So we're gonna start looking for those things that might be increasing in velocity, as well as, again, back to school items are not done selling. I'm still selling a bunch of them. So we're gonna start with that, and then we might transition to some of those fall items that are probably increasing in velocity over time. So I'm just gonna start with, again, what I've been doing is looking at some Nike backpacks and then reverse sourcing, storefront stalking some of the sellers that are selling those, because we're gonna look for other products, other than the backpacks they're selling, to try to find products. So we'll go Nike backpack, very simple, very basic. We're just gonna pick one that has a lot of sellers so we can reverse source off of that. So I'll just pick one of these here. You can see that there's almost 60 sellers on a listing like this. So what we're gonna do is scroll down on SellerAmp. We're not even gonna look at this one. It's all FBM, which is kind of what we care about, because we wanna see if they're FBMing this, there's a chance they're FBMing other back to school items. So that's the goal here. We're gonna look at some of these storefronts and hopefully find some that have more than just backpacks that they're merchant fulfilling. So ideally, I'm gonna look through and see if there's anybody who has more than just a couple of reviews, because there are gonna be sellers who literally don't know how to source. They only are in on the backpack craze. So they might not have a ton of reviews yet. So I'm gonna avoid some of those that really have no reviews or hardly any, like this one that has 91. Something I like to see here, so we're gonna open that in a new link, and then maybe one or two others I'll open up. 22 is not horrible. It takes a while to get to 22. 4 is a little too low for right now. I'd like to see one in like the 40s or 50s. 121, not horrible. 41, I think I like that more. So we'll go 41, and then we'll look at the other one as well. So a lot of Nike, Jockey, Under Armour. Okay, so again, we're looking at stuff that we can merchant fulfill. FBM sellers are getting the buy box a lot more often in the month of August, so we want to take advantage of that aspect. Quick products, right? We're buying these, they're showing up to our house a couple days later, and we're listing them that day, selling them that day. That's how fast some of this stuff is selling. Look at the sales rank here. I mean, it's basically leveled out at like 5K, 3K. So we want to take advantage of stuff like this, because I don't see any increase in the seller rank here. The rank is just flatlined, and it doesn't show any signs of slowing down. So a 3K rank is still something that sells like 20 to 50 times per day. So we want to take advantage of those types of products. So let's scroll. Socks are something we probably will avoid for now. Pro shorts, I mean, the rank is dropping, and maybe like volleyball season, people are buying these more often. I mean, we're at a sub 500 rank. This thing flies off the shelf. So let's open this in Amazon. We're going to take a look, because 17 max cost isn't horrible. Certain sites will run discounts on a product like this for, we're looking at like a $22, and maybe we get a 20% off discount, get us close to this. And maybe some people are merchant fulfilling this type of product too, because it moves so quickly. We can look at the buy box statistics, see if FBM sellers are actually getting the buy box at all. So let's keep scrolling here. Here's an interesting one. Doesn't look like a back to school product, but a really good rank in baby products. 13 max cost. Not really sure if that's even close, so we're just going to open that as well. And then we'll open like one or two more here. So let's see. I like when we see that rank dropping. $8 max cost on a sock is not good, so I'm not sure how they're finding these cheap enough, but Jockey, we don't have really much movement there. We see a big drop in the sales rank here. Like I said, this is, I mean, maybe sweatpants are like considered back to school because, you know, we're moving into fall and people want this, kids want this for their back to school attire. So again, we have a fleece jogger. You can see the rank ever since, you know, June has been kind of on a steady decline. It was at over 100K back here, and now we're already, you know, below like 15K. So that's a really good sign here. So we're going to open that one as well. All right, let's take a look at this because this could be really interesting. It is a jogger, so we do have those, you know, tight ankles. We want to make sure there's a lot of variations of this type of stuff. So you just want to make sure you have the exact match so you don't get returns or inauthenticity because, you know, people will complain on products like this. Man, this thing is already increased in offer count recently. The rank is kind of sitting around that 15K for the last couple days, but I bet you this thing gets even better in rank when we go the farther along we go. So we want to catch this trend early. Let's take a look at the variations and see which ones maybe have the higher buy box or are selling well. Don't have to worry about Amazon. They don't sell Nike. They might have a couple in stock, but they definitely don't sell Nike. So this thing has been getting reviews. This one's kind of leveled out with reviews, but still increasing. So the medium and large, not too bad. The gray sweatpants, pretty expensive, in the 40s. So that is something we want to take advantage of. I mean, at a 15K rank, this thing sells 900 to 1,000 times a month. At 9%, 10%, that's 100 times, right? 80 to 100 times. So maybe we want to start with this size medium, pretty common size, but the buy box is 48, way higher than some of those the color blacks. So, and the offer count has not grown at all. So if we can find this profitably, probably going to be a pretty solid find here. So again, we're looking for 24 max cost, not too bad actually. All right, look at that right off the bat. Holy, we're finding some good stuff here. So I'm looking at this product here, and it looks like Dick's Sporting Goods has it, Shop WSS has it, but this is French terry pant. Not sure if that's the same thing. We're looking at extra small here. Nike has this pretty cheap. Girls, kids, it's all the same. I don't think it's specifically girls. Could be boys, kids. They're all kind of similar. So we're looking at 24.42. I think we are finding that here. We just want to make sure it's the fleece, right? Fleece pant, and it's a jogger, so it does have like the tapered bottom. And in some other ways, you can kind of confirm that you have the right style or the right pant in general is looking at what it's made up of, because certain joggers are definitely different, like cotton and polyester. And some of them are 100% polyester, some of them are 100% cotton. So just make sure you have the right match here. We have this, you know, carbon gray, carbon heather gray. Looks like there's a couple different sources that we can get this pretty cheap. And again, this stuff is, I mean, if we got this for like 20, what was the one site? 24. Dick's Sporting Goods, we can do 27 plus, you know, if you have a catch-all, 20, that'll bring it down. One thing we want to be careful on with something like this is we can see that this thing was a lot cheaper not that long ago, $35. We're up at $48 right now, and the offer count's sitting pretty low. If this thing shoots back up to 28, 29, 30, I could see this thing going all the way down to that 35 again, or even lower if it catches a big sale. So be careful with something like that. You want to get this product turned around pretty quickly if you can. You know, we're catching this trend a little bit early, so if we can sell it at the $48, which again, let's look at the data tab and just see who's getting the buy box statistic. Can we merch fulfill something like this? Definitely does not look like it. We can see that it's all FBA sellers getting the buy box in the last 30 days. Not even one FBM seller getting a percentage at all of the buy box. So we want to look at who's selling this now, include historical. So the data is not telling us that this thing sells a ton. We do have FBM sellers getting some sales potentially. We don't know if this is legitimate sales or not, but this is potentially a solid lead for us. So again, if this thing shoots up, you know, expect this to drop in price. I mean, we're not the only ones thinking ahead of what stuff is going to start selling after back to school cools off. This is definitely like a back to school trended product because the sales rank is currently dropping, but 32% on a clothing item, a little bit low for me, just because I know of how quickly a Nike product can tank or at least drop in price. And not too long ago, it was at $35. So because the offer count is so low, that's why this price is so high. So let's take a look at some of the other variations and see what else we can find here. So that $35, that's kind of the range we want to see here. We can see that like this the size large, $46. So those gray for some reason are a little bit higher in buy box compared to the black. So let's just take a look at the chart here and see what we find. So we're looking at, yeah, it's kind of crept up over time as well. Like we're seeing it was 38, 39. And now that the offer count's dropping a little bit, we're seeing it all the way up at 46, which is kind of interesting how it climbed that much. You know, $8 buy box climbed when the offer count only went down like 10 to 12. So very interesting trend there. Again, if we're only getting this for $24, the ROI and profit is just a little bit low for me, but keep an eye out on something like this. You can risk buying this. Again, let's look at the buy box statistics. We want to see, is any other FBM sellers getting the buy box here? A lot of FBA sellers are getting it, but you know, I'm curious, are we a little too late to this upward tick that we're seeing? Because if we buy stuff, it takes 3 weeks to check in. What's going to happen in 3 weeks? Will this be back up at 36 and the price down to 38? Because if we're getting this for like $22 and we're just profitable here, I mean, this goes back to 38 and now we're barely making $1.40. We get 1 or 2 returns, and now this product was definitely not worth it. So, you know, something to be very cautious of. But let's keep looking at some of the other products here. I don't want to spend too much time on one product, but could make a quick flip here. But again, I think I would hold off on something like this, even though the rank is dropping, because a lot of the other variations too, the black, you know, they're sitting at 35, 34. So, you know, maybe the grays will kind of travel down to the mean, which is, you know, this $35. And we can see that, you know, these things all peaked like beginning of August. Maybe there's a sale here where a lot of people were buying mid-July. But again, this price, we're not seeing $46, $48. So it's a little bit risky for me, you know, buying this at 34. I mean, max cost is only 15 on something like this. Really not that high. So, and we're not seeing sales on this yet. We want to see this a little bit cheaper before I would, you know, feel comfortable buying this. I would like to see 40 to 50% ROI at least, with a declining offer count, which is kind of what we saw in some of the grays. But again, that's my thought on that product. I'm going to avoid that for now. So we're looking at, now this is random product. Again, not a back to school product, but it looked interesting. So let's take a look here. I'm going to see what Google has available. It's Ebb and Flow, a 3-pack of the wide neck bottles. Okay, so that's what we need to look for here. Wide neck anti-colic bottles, $5.79. We're looking at a $13 max cost, $13.50, which is kind of interesting that Target has this for $5.79. If they had a multi-pack, that would be kind of cool. We're seeing Balance anti-colic. We just want to see the Balance Plus 3-pack. That's what we care about. Balance Plus 3-pack. We have Balance wide neck. I'm not seeing the Balance Plus. Here's the Ebb and Flow Balance Plus wide, but you know, it's a little too expensive. So not sure if we're seeing this here, unless I missed it. Maybe that Target product, if we bought 3 of them, we could potentially match that up. But $5.79, we're looking at like a $17 buy cost there. Let's get it down to $13.50. Might be a little tricky, so we're not going to spend too much time on that because we want to get through more products here. If we're on to this product here, we can see some people are getting the buy box at $35. Max cost of $16 is going to be a little bit too low, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I do want to look at the variations and just see if there is one that, you know, might be a little bit higher. So we have the smalls at 36, the extra small at 36, the extra small of maybe a slightly different variation at 44, which is pretty nice. So we're going to actually take a look at this here. I'm not sure what the difference is, but we do have these seams in the front, which maybe the other ones didn't. But still, we're looking at a $23 max cost. Might be pretty tricky, but we can go really far down on the variations here when we're sitting at a sub 500 rank. This thing sells super fast, so we could go, you know, I'd be comfortable even selling some of these that just have, you know, reviews in general. So we could keep looking at something like this, like a 2XL. But again, if the price doesn't make sense, Women's clothing gets returned more than, you know, most things in the clothing category. So we want to be smart about our purchases here. We can see this offer count is pretty low currently. So we'd have to catch this pretty quickly. It does look like FBM sellers are getting the buy box, which is interesting, $44.75. So if we were selling this FBM, and it's going to be a really cheap FBM shipping, right? We're going to sit at like $5, maybe even like $4.75 if we want to get real technical. And again, if we're buying this for under $25, sometimes this is on sale for like $24, and then we can maybe get it a little bit cheaper than that yet. And I do have my my prep cost in here, so I would probably, if I was merchant fulfilling this, I would subtract the prep cost, add a sales tax in there. But that looks like 34% ROI. Let's just take a look and see if we can find the extra small, and then maybe we're going to be able to merchant fulfill something like that. So again, we want to see that seam in the front here. These all look like they don't have seams on them in the front there. So that's going to be the match that we care about. And if we don't have luck finding that, then we'll probably just move on from this product. But again, it's going to be a little bit tricky. I'm not seeing that seam in the front. Maybe it's just a little bit different style. And I don't want to send them one that doesn't have the seam because maybe they're expecting that. And I don't want inauthenticity complaints on something like this product that sells a ton, but I don't want to have any issues. So we are going to move on to the next product here. So let's keep looking on this storefront, because we did find, you know, maybe those joggers were somewhat of a lead we can put on a list to pay attention to in the future. Again, not something I'm going to buy at this moment, but definitely keeping an eye on it, seeing what that offer count does with those gray sweatpants. So let's keep looking at some of the other products here. They sell a lot of like Nike socks, which I'm not a huge fan of. So maybe we want to move on from this storefront. I'm not finding a lot of the back to school items that I was hoping to find. So let's actually go and look at a different storefront here. This one looks like a very generic, you know, only Nike type of storefront, which I'm not a huge fan of a lot of times. But let's look at this one. Okay, so they have a plethora of different categories and items. So this is a storefront I actually kind of like. Let's see what we can find here. So Vital Proteins, you know, if you can find it profitably, they're always a good rank. I mean, this one's 2K rank here. We're looking at marine collagen. Let's just look at it because I know Vital Proteins is solid. Basically gonna go right to Google here. Any of these variations probably sell pretty well. We're looking at the 18 servings, 7.8 ounce. Let's just go right to Google here. $13 max cost, might be pretty tricky. Walgreens has collagen peptides, VitaCost. Yeah, this is going to be really expensive for what we're looking for. So we're probably going to move on from this, but it doesn't hurt to check some of these things because you just never know. Okay, so we see Barbie with a really solid rank. Max cost $25. So it's Barbie the movie. Never seen this before, but this looks like one of those Bolo items that's riding the high of the Barbie movie. So it doesn't hurt to take a look. Let's see if we can find this profitably. Stuff like this probably sold out a ton in the stores. I mean, this thing probably, yeah, it's 200 sellers in the listing, which is crazy. But when Amazon sold out, they probably are kicking themselves for not buying more, but they're probably kicking themselves for not having more in stock because they could have sold so much more, I'm sure. I mean, this thing is a top, you know, 500 rank, which in any category is going to sell tens of thousands of times per month. We can see that. What is the lowest seller on this? If we're looking for see all buying options, let's just sort by the, okay, so it's sorted by low to high price. So new prices, lowest price on this, $42. So we got to see $42.85. We might want to merchant fulfill if we can do like same day and get a little bit of a bonus there. Otherwise, we might have to send this FBA, but there's so many sellers on this listing, is a little alarming. Unless it's super profitable and people are selling out like crazy. $22 max cost. My guess is it was probably more profitable up at the $60 or $50 range. Now that we're in the low 40s, maybe it's not as profitable. So I'm going to open this up here. So we see Barbie in pink, Barbie the movie, $25, $24.99. That's EE distribution. Let's see. This is what we want. 53. Someone's definitely reselling that on Walmart. Mattel might be the best option here. $25. But again, 25 just might be a little bit too low here. Even if this thing is not super heavy, so it's 10 ounces, we might be able to merchant fulfill for $5, and then we're actually getting a little bit closer, but 25% ROI. Like I said, this is a huge Bolo item because it was riding the hype of, you know, the Barbie movie coming out. People probably made a killing up at this range here. If they were buying it for $25, right? If this thing was at $65, I mean, $25, 100% ROI, just crazy margins there. And if people were selling, there was less than 100 sellers in the listing, then we kind of leveled out and it's just been going downhill from there. So interesting product. Never seen that before, but we're gonna move on. So now we see these backpacks. We're gonna see if they have maybe anything else. Adidas backpack here, $13 max cost. Looks a little bit tricky to get that low. Not sure I've found any backpacks as low under $15, but we're gonna keep moving on here. Calculator, it's always a good sign, but $6 for a calculator is gonna be pretty tough to beat. Might be like a wholesale something. You can get a bunch of calculators. 4K, I mean, in office products is gonna still sell a really good amount. So interesting product there. Looking at a gel deodorant. Looks like the price is leveled. Oh, it's way too low. Never mind. Let's keep moving here. We have this one. Looks like it's dropped in price a lot recently. We got a mesh backpack. That's not hard. That's too hard to beat on the price there. $27 there. Again, is going to be really hard to beat. Not seeing a ton of back to school items in general, but this is kind of the process that I go through when I'm looking for back to school leads. Is I'm looking at the listings that are, you know, most notably back to school, like backpacks, and then I'm reverse sourcing some of those listings and storefront stalking the sellers on those listings to see if we can find other back to school items that they're selling. Last product here, we're going to look at this tote that sells super fast. It's Adidas. Amazon doesn't look to be in stock on this one, but maybe there's some other variations they're also out of stock on. So let's take a look. This will be the last product here. They have a ton of variations, but this thing sells so fast that I think we can do pretty well on something like this. So let's look at the variations tab. This might be a solid variation. I'm not really sure yet. Yeah, it sells 10% of the time. I mean, the ratings are shooting up. So any of these variations actually should sell pretty well. So $32 buy cost, that is $32 buy box is going to be pretty solid. People are FBMing this. Hopefully we can find this profitably because let's zoom in and see, are those spikes FBA sellers? Okay, so FBM sellers are getting those sales at $32.99, $32.99, FBA $35. So we could maybe list this at $32.99. And then that brings our max cost up to $15.33, but also this is potentially only 8 ounces. Okay, great. So we could sell this first class and sell it for, or only pay $5 for shipping. So now we have our max cost all the way up to $17.70. Let's see if we can find this variation for under $15, under $17 actually. And maybe this is like an in-store item, like you find this at Kohl's or you find this at TJ Maxx or something like that. Not finding this super profitably here. I mean, we have some stores that have this on sale, but this might be an in-store purchase. And if you can get this for, you know, say they're listed at $20 and then they're, you know, Kohl's, they have Adidas and Nike both sitting at like 20-25% off. So if we were at, you know, 20 and we got a 25% off discount, now we're getting this for 15 bucks. And 53% ROI. It probably sells really fast. I mean, the rank is like sub 200, which is 13,000 times. Any of these variations are going to sell a ton. I mean, this was like 9% of the variations. Again, this was like 9% of the reviews and ratings. 9% of 13,000 is going to be like 1,300 sales per month. So this thing flies. You do the math on that, that's like 50 times a day. So if you can find this in store, it's a good merch fulfilled product. But that's all I'm going to be sourcing today. Hopefully you guys got some value out of this. There's still plenty of time for back to school, so don't give up on that. And keep an eye out and keep pumping till the end of the month because there's so much opportunity out there.
All right, hopefully you guys got some value out of that sourcing video. There's still some time for back to school stuff, so don't give up on it yet. I know you can find some products that you can merch fulfill. It's really quick turnaround for a lot of those things. You know, even backpacks are still a really low rank on a bunch of them. So if you can find those products profitably, definitely still buy them and merch fulfill them. So good luck out there. If you guys found this video helpful, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next one.